Welcome to Mother of Mammals podcast with your host, Bria. I've been contemplating this week how I prepared for parenthood. I had my first child when I was 33 and my second at 40. I started to think about this because I was having a conversation with a friend and they commented to me that I seem to be enjoying parenthood in a way that they also enjoy parenthood, but they don't necessarily enjoy all the kind of other things that come with it, like the school run and the cooking meals for certain times, just things like that. I suppose the regimented parts of parenthood. And I thought, yeah, I do. I enjoy it. I enjoy just hanging out with my toddler all day. Don't get me wrong, I need a break sometimes, but the majority of it, I enjoy it. I like my child. I like her company. I enjoy how we spend the days together. When people see me out, they're seeing me out. They're not necessarily seeing that side where I just think, oh, I just need to get this done and it's difficult because I can't, because it's not an appropriate time to do this thing that I want to do with my 2-year-old about. And so there are definitely difficult times, but all in all, yeah, I enjoy it. With a little thought, I realize my enjoyment comes from being present, which is a lifelong learnt skill. And that's why it got me into thinking about what I did to prepare myself for this parenting journey that I do enjoy. And I know what I did. I basically didn't prepare for it. I didn't put too much thought into it beyond this is something that I definitely 100% want to do. And I think that if I couldn't do it in some way, I would be highly disappointed. I've never been like very set on a huge amount of things and the reality of them. Like, work and things like that. I have interests. I do my studies. I do my work. And I find that I can really enjoy something on a studying level. And then when it becomes work, I kind of stop enjoying it. Doesn't mean that I don't continue doing it, but I'm just not that focused on it. But that one thing that I always knew I wanted to do was to be a parent. So my preparation, I think, looked a little bit like this. I wasn't really interested in relationships, romantic relationships. I wouldn't chase them. Occasionally, I would meet someone that would interest me and I would go for it, and it would be whatever it was at the time and the place. But it was never a focus from the age where maybe you would start thinking these things were. My focus was friendships. I absolutely love my friends. And I've never felt that there's anything wrong with it because I've realized the benefits of it. So I've always had really close, good friendships. I say this as it being preparation for parenthood because there are times before and during parenthood that are hard. And if I didn't have these amazing friendships established, I think I would be quite lost. You know, when there are those days that you're just feeling really stressed out and you're feeling really upset about it, and then you have a really good chat with a friend And maybe you haven't solved all your problems, but you just feel so much better. Like, I have that. It's part of my life. Where relationships are concerned, I've always been attracted to someone for the here and now. Whatever style of life I'm leading, I'm attracted to a person that would suit that. There may be times that I was just like out partying all the time and just having loads and loads of fun. And if I was interested in someone and I started to see someone, they would be someone that suited that lifestyle, that also wanted to do the same things as I did. I mention that because, again, it's about being present in the life that you're in, not constantly thinking about the tomorrow and the future. Because when you do that, you tend not to be in that here and now. So personally, I spent, say, the majority of my 20s single and not looking, going out with my friends, having an absolute blast. And I would adapt my life for the situation, adapt my life for my needs. I've always worked. I think I finished my last GCSE exam on a Thursday when I was 16. By the Saturday, I had a job and pretty much always had a job in one way or another until life calmed down in preparation to have children at the age of 33. But the job always suited my needs. Unfortunately, didn't always pay great, but I would adapt my life in other ways to make that work. So my first job, I worked in a health shop, and I would start at 8 o'clock in the morning and I would finish after the lunchtime rush at about 2 o'clock. And that left the rest of my day to go and firstly, I would go and study, and then I would meet up with my friends and maybe hang about with them till the early hours of the morning at someone's house. In the weekdays and weekends, would go out partying together. So I was fitting everything that I needed to fit into that day. That type of job really worked for me then because it didn't take too much brain space. I was able to go out. I would go sometimes raving all night long and get the first tube home and then go straight to work on a Saturday morning. I made sure that everything worked to what I needed at that point in my life. And by doing that, I was able to be fully present. Life kind of continued like that. Work, study, party, friends. That was the important thing in my life. When you work like that, it tends to be shit pay. You can barely survive on that pay. So I used to adapt my living circumstances to that. I couldn't afford to pay rent. So I decided to squat, which meant that I didn't have to find rent. We tended to live in a kind of community that meant that we would share food. I was very lucky at certain points. I had my own place. But I would also be amongst the community where we would share food. A lot of the time I was able to get food from the community where certain people would go out at night time and do what they called skipping, which would be going into supermarket bins and taking the stuff that they'd thrown out. Things like dented tins, things that were past their sell-by date for, a day. So I was able to work, provide myself with the funds that I needed to provide, and live the life that I wanted to live. Again, adapting to my situation and being fully present. I'm not saying this as advice. I'm saying this as this is what I did. I lived a life that I wouldn't want to live with children. I was going out at all hours. I was drinking. I was smoking. I was thoroughly enjoying myself being present in that lifestyle. Mother of Mammals podcast is sponsored by her sister company, Citizen of the World ABC. I've designed a set of beautifully illustrated alphabet cards. Here at Mother of Mammals and Citizen of the World ABC, I believe to have a true understanding of the world around us, we need to be seeing links. For example, to discuss climate change is to discuss xenophobia, capitalism, natives, propaganda, education, questioning, history, justice, activism, voting, war, diversity, trees, immigration, and so on. Purposely printed as cards so each subject can be placed side by side. These are thought-provoking alphabet cards suitable for all ages, so the levels of conversation can be age or stage appropriate. You can purchase a pack from Citizen of the World abc.com. You'll find the details in the episode notes. So work-wise, I would do low-paid jobs that didn't require much skill from me, that enabled me to just be there and be present, and there wasn't a huge amount that was required of me after that. In my late 20s, life started to naturally slow down. When I say naturally, I started to get bored of that lifestyle. It also got very expensive. Very expensive in a way of not that I can't afford it, but I don't want to be spending this amount of money. London especially just started to take the piss. Drink prices were so high. A pack of fags was so high. If I was a bit low, I would say maybe to people, no, I'm not going to come out tonight is a bit expensive for me at the moment. And they would say, oh, don't be silly. We want you to come. We'll buy you drinks or something. And I thought, actually, I don't want anyone paying this amount of money for drinks for me. I just stopped appreciating it. So I adapted life again. I wanted to give up the expensive pub or bar prices, the expense of getting on a bus and getting on a tube. So I started to invite my friends round, which was something that I'd always done, but it was usually in like a pre-party way. They would come round, we would have a get together, and then we would go out. But I just stopped the out. I would invite friends round, I would cook for them, they would bring something to drink. We would sit around my kitchen table listening to music, having conversation, smoking, drinking, pretty much what I was doing out in the clubs, because it got to the point that I wasn't really spending much time in and just all my time outside smoking and chatting to someone. I just brought that into the kitchen. I was able to stop the expenditure, and I was also able to stop being around other people that I didn't want to be around. again, life would take a natural change. I decided to take myself off to the Caribbean just on a holiday. I went, I got to know my family. I was around a lot of children, seeing them having this freedom. But I wasn't necessarily thinking, okay, I want to go and have children here. But I understood that this was where I needed to be. It felt natural. So I went. I went in a way that I could, which was ship my stuff out, buy a tent, and go and live on my family land. I met my children's father. We became close. We fell in love. We both seemed to want the same things. And it just naturally happened. We had our first child. Our home was a tent. We had no running water, but we had access to clean running water. We just had to walk to get it. We had no electricity, therefore no internet, and it worked. It meant that we could be a really present family with each other, having to see and meet each other's needs. Constantly, our life was set for that. When I was in my other phases of life, if I wasn't fully present in them, I might have thought, right, what do you need to do to have children? And I might have set up something that was maybe what people would consider more of a home. But do you know what happened in our little tent where we had to fetch water? We started to move with nature. And I saw my children with nature. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have the TV. I would have a laptop with a hard drive that we would occasionally charge up at someone's house. And so on occasions I could sit there in the evenings and watch a movie. But apart from that, I was really present with my child. We didn't have money to buy nice furniture, so we had a mattress on the floor. But it worked. I wasn't having to live life panicking if they were going to fall off a high surface. It was chilled. We were chilled. We were there in our extremely child-friendly home. And it just meant that every day we needed less, but we had each other, which was the more. And I realized that actually our reaction to having children wasn't working more. It was working less. I know that this is a phase. My life comes in phases, and I don't know what the next phase will be, and I don't sit there considering it. I'm fully in that parenting phase, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it knowing it will not last forever. So I think, to sum it up, how I prepared to be a parent who enjoys parenting is I didn't prepare. I understood what living in the moment was. I was able to do this because I have the security of friends, especially, that times when I've been down and I've needed to be picked up, they're there. To me, that was very much achieved by being present. And the other thing that I did was live the life that I wanted to live at the time that I wouldn't want children to be in. I don't want my children sitting watching a drunk parent or sitting in a house of fog because it's got smoke in. I don't want that for them. So I did what I had to do to be me at the time, and me changes. It changes all the time. I accept that and I embrace it, and I actually really enjoy it. I couldn't say if parenting is what I thought it would be because I didn't think anything about it apart from two thoughts. Before having children, I would imagine either having a child at my breast, feeding them, or waking up in the morning with no rush, and there be a child sat up on the bed, a baby, talking baby language at me. And I could see that, and I knew that that's what I wanted. They're both two very present things. To sum it up, I don't resent being around my children. I don't wish that I was out at the party. I don't wish for the old days. I did them until they were over. I know that being in this phase of my life is the intense parenting phase, and I love it, but I know that it won't last forever. And I also have no idea what will come after this. I don't know how I'll be feeling about things. I don't know what I would have learned about myself. And it's really exciting. It really makes life feel alive. Our lives are constantly adapting. And I do feel a massive change coming. A change with the homeschooling, with both of the children's needs. And I look forward to it. If you have enjoyed listening, I would appreciate it if you took a moment to write a review and follow my podcast so that they can keep coming directly to you. Thanks for listening.